For as long as humans have faced uncertainty, we've invented ways to peek behind the curtain of fate. And today, we're taking a whirlwind tour through 9 of history's biggest divination systems. From shuffled cards to cracked bones, from star charts to swirling tea leaves, each one uses its own visual language and its own logic for turning randomness or pattern into meaning. We'll look at where each system actually comes from, what a real reading looks like step by step, and the psychological reason these practices have stuck around for centuries. No mockery, no true believers here, just a clear-eyed look at humanity's oldest hobby, trying to read what happens next. Tarot started life in 15th century Italy as a card game called tarocchi, played by nobles for fun, not fortune-telling. It wasn't until the 1700s and 1800s that occultists in France started attaching mystical meanings to the 78 cards. The deck splits into the major arcana, 22 symbolic cards like the Fool or the Tower, and the minor arcana, 56 cards split into 4 suits like a regular deck. In a reading, the querent shuffles and lays cards into a spread, say 3 cards for past, present, future, and the reader interprets each card's imagery, position, and orientation to build a story. The real engine here is projection. The vivid pictures act like an ink blot test, prompting the person to reflect on their situation through symbolic language. It's less about literally predicting the future and more about structured self-reflection dressed in mystical clothing. Astrology traces back over 4,000 years to Babylon, where priests tracked the sky to predict omens for kings, and the Greeks later systemized it into the 12 zodiac signs we know today. The core idea is that the position of the sun, moon, and planets, at the moment you were born, imprints certain traits and tendencies onto you, captured in a personalized diagram called a natal chart. A professional astrologer maps where each planet sat, in which zodiac sign and house at your exact birth time and place, then interprets that combination almost like a psychological personality blueprint. Pop astrology simplifies this down to just your sun sign, which is why newspaper horoscopes for Leos feel generic. Under the hood, astrologers argue the planets exert subtle symbolic influence, not physical force, mapping cosmic cycles onto human moods and events. Scientifically, it has been thoroughly tested and shown no predictive power beyond chance, but its cultural staying power is enormous. The I Ching, or Book of Changes, is one of the oldest divination texts in the world, developed in China around 3,000 years ago and later woven into Confucian and Taoist philosophy. It's built around 64 hexagrams, each a stack of 6 broken or unbroken lines representing yin and yang in different combinations. To get a reading, you toss 3 coins 6 times, or the more traditional method of sorting 49 yarrow stalks, and the pattern of heads and tails or stalk counts builds your hexagram line by line. Each hexagram has an accompanying poetic passage full of imagery like the well or the cauldron, which a reader interprets as guidance for your specific question. Unlike tarot's dramatic imagery, the I Ching feels more like consulting a philosophical advisor. It doesn't predict fixed fate, but describes the current balance of forces so you can act wisely within them. It remains deeply respected in Chinese culture as both a divination tool and a serious work of philosophy. Runic divination comes from the Germanic and Norse peoples of Northern Europe, using the Elder Futhark, an alphabet of 24 angular symbols originally carved for writing, magic, and memorial stones. According to Norse myth, the god Odin hung from the world tree and suffered to gain the wisdom of the runes, which gives them a heavy mystical reputation beyond just being letters. In a reading, each rune is carved or painted onto small stones, wood, or bone pieces, then drawn from a bag or scattered onto a cloth, and the reader interprets both which runes appear and how they land, upright or reversed. Each rune carries a symbolic meaning tied to nature and fate, like Feihu for wealth or Ansuz for communication and wisdom. Modern rune casting is largely a 20th century revival built on scattered historical hints, since we don't have detailed ancient instructions for exactly how the Vikings used them this way. Still, the aesthetic of a stark, sacred alphabet as oracle gives runes a very distinct feel among divination systems. Palmistry, or chiromancy, likely originated in ancient India thousands of years ago, spread through the Middle East, and was carried into Europe largely by Romani travelers, which is why it's so associated with fortune teller tents at fairs. A palm reader examines the major lines on your hand, like the heart line for emotions, the headline for thinking style, and the lifeline for vitality and major life events, tracing their length, depth, and branches. They also look at the mounts, the fleshy pads at the base of each finger, and the overall shape and flexibility of the hand, which supposedly reveal personality traits like ambition or sensitivity. Unlike a system with fixed symbols drawn at random, palmistry claims to read something that's already permanently written on your body. Giving it a different flavor of fate is physical rather than fate is drawn by chance. Readers often combine hand shape, line quality, and even fingerprints into one holistic personality and destiny sketch. It's a hands-on, literally, tradition that blends folk psychology with a very old belief that your body encodes your story. Numerology's roots stretch back to Pythagoras in ancient Greece, who believed numbers were the hidden structure of the universe, plus a parallel tradition in Hebrew mysticism called gematria that assigns numeric values to letters. The modern popular version takes your birth date and full name, converts letters to numbers, and keeps adding the digits together until you land on a single number from 1 through 9, or occasionally a master number like 11 or 22. That resulting figure, especially your life path number calculated from your birthday, is treated as a summary of your core personality and destiny. So a life path 7 might be called introspective and analytical. Unlike tarot or runes, there's no random draw involved at all. It's purely a fixed calculation based on facts you already know about yourself, like your birthday and name spelling. That makes numerology feel more like a personality quiz with mystical branding than a system of chance-based fortune-telling. Its appeal is the neat, almost mathematical certainty of turning messy life into tidy, single digits. Tea leaf reading, formerly called tasseography, took off in Europe once tea became widely available in the 16 and 1700s, blending older scrying traditions with the very domestic ritual of drinking tea. To get a reading, you drink a cup of loose-leaf tea down to the dregs, swirl the cup, and tip out the excess liquid, leaving a random scatter of leaves clinging to the inside. The reader then looks at the shapes those leaves form. A bird might mean good news. A ring might suggest marriage. A snake might warn of betrayal, almost like reading a Rorschach blot made of tea. Position matters too. Symbols near the rim are said to relate to the near future, while ones near the bottom point to more distant events. The same basic idea works with coffee grounds, which is popular in Turkish and Middle Eastern fortune-telling under the name tasseomancy or chi-fa-al. It's a wonderfully cozy, everyday form of divination, since the tool is just leftovers from a drink you were having anyway. Scrying is one of the oldest and most widespread divination methods, practiced independently in ancient Egypt, Greece, Mesoamerica, and later famously by figures like the French seer Nostradamus, who reportedly used a bowl of water. The basic method is simple. You stare fixedly at a reflective or still surface, a black mirror, a crystal ball, a bowl of water, even a flame, until your focus softens and shapes seem to appear or shift within it. This isn't reading fixed symbols like a rune or card. It's closer to inducing a light trance state where the scryer's own mind supplies visions, faces, or scenes that they then interpret as meaningful. The crystal ball became the pop culture shorthand for this whole practice, largely thanks to Victorian stage mystics who performed dramatic parlor readings with them. Psychologically, scrying is thought to work through pareidolia, our brain's tendency to find faces and patterns in random visual noise, similar to seeing shapes in clouds. It's less about a structured system and more about a meditative technique for tapping into the subconscious and calling what surfaces their prophecy. Bone and shell casting covers a whole family of divination practices found across Africa, the African diaspora, and ancient China, all sharing the idea that throwing small objects and reading how they land can reveal answers from ancestors or spirits. In West Africa, the Yoruba practice of Ifa uses 16 cowrie shells, or a divining chain, cast by a trained priest called a babalawo, who reads which shells land face up or face down to select one of hundreds of sacred verses for interpretation. In ancient China, diviners heated ox bones and turtle shells until they cracked, then read the pattern of the cracks, a practice so old it actually gave us some of the earliest written Chinese characters, carved right onto the bones as records. Across the African diaspora, in places like Cuba and Brazil, similar shell-casting traditions survived and blended with Catholic imagery to become key parts of Santeria and Candomblé religious practice. What unites all these methods is that the randomness of the throw is treated as a channel, a way for spirits or ancestors to communicate through the pattern the objects happen to form. It's one of the most communal forms of divination, since it's almost always performed by a trained specialist for their community rather than done solo. From Babylonian stargazers to Yoruba shellcasters, every one of these systems is really a different lens for turning chaos into a story we can act on. Whether you see them as sacred wisdom, psychological tools, or just fascinating history, they all reveal something true about the human need for meaning. If this whirlwind tour through Fate's toolkit fascinated you, hit subscribe for more deep dives into the strange and symbolic corners of human belief.